All right. Peace, everybody. Welcome to Show Improve. I'm Akilo. Well, AKA, I can't come sometimes. Even I get me mixed up sometimes. Depends on the day. But yeah. And we are back again for another adventure and back again for another journey. And we're starting a new series this strong, right? And we are already, well, peace, Master, and they can peace. I'll be out around. What's our new series? And it's called The Art of Strategy. Basically, it's the art of war. You know, it's still the art of war, but you know, she got so many things going on, podcasts and archives on it. Different in the past. I didn't want to name the same thing, so I named something else. It's basically a book I have actually called The Art of Strategy that's still based on that's on the art of war, but it's called The Art of Strategy by R.L. Wing. And I was taught to get this book years ago. And for me, I have like 4 different translations of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, right? I have like a bunch, you know. It's some that I had since high school, you know what I'm talking about. But, you know, I've always liked my rendition of The Art of Strategy just because it sort of gave a modern take on it through an Eastern perspective, right? And I've always wanted to incorporate like an officer's training course. Just something I used to always think about, you know, especially, you know, coming from a military background in a sense, you know, that all, especially when I, you know, wanted to go into ROTC and green and gold and all that. I always used to look at that, you know, how, you know, war colleges and things used to pick, you know, things to look at and teach and whatnot. And so, yeah, I thought, shoot, you know, who needs it more than us? You know what I'm talking about? So here we are. And that's what we gonna be on. So peace. Achoti Maria. And peace. Well, Achoti Yafe. Leon. You know. But yeah. So let's get into it, man. All right. So as you can see, we gonna be talking about this book, right? So just in case if you don't know, for those that don't know, this is the book that we are talking about. Okay. And this is the guy that we're talking about. Some, you know, would say, you know, The Art of War was not authored by him. It depends on the source. You know, it's got to be one of them ecumenical scholarship things where everybody agree on one thing. And, you know, I don't get into all of that. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, one thing about Sun Tzu, at least this, it's like this cool story, right? Okay, so when you know Sun Tzu was starting out and basically the only way I'm be able to tell the story is if I show you the map first. Okay, so Sun Tzu lived in the time of like the what's known as the Warring States period. I know, like I said, there's more than one, more than one in China, right? But this is like the pretty much like the first one. But this is basically during the Zhou dynasty. The Warring States period is pretty much during the end of the Zhou dynasty, and actually these states already existed during the Zhou dynasty. It's like, in order for you to understand, it's like Warring States Japan where you have all these different daimyo, you know, with their own clan and own states, but then you got the shogun and then you got the emperor. So it's pretty much the same thing with them, but you know, like the Zhou have their own um, state, but everybody else have their own state as well. And then you have, you know, a main statesman under the emperor, which some say the hegemon, or basically is the equivalent of the shogun, right? But anyway, it's during the time where Sun Tzu, you know, he, as as you can see on the map right here, he gets employed to Wu, right? And at that time, Chu, as you can see from the map, was their rival, right? So in the story, right? Now I could have showed you it, but History Channel and copyright, we ain't about to be bothered with that. But so in the story, right? He's trying to get employed by the Lord of Wu, and you know he's about to give a demonstration. But this is how he do it, right? He uses the Lord's concubines, you know, to give this military demonstration, right? And demonstrate drills and whatnot. So, you know, he tells the Lord, okay, while I'm doing this, you know, at me being the general, I am in total control. Do you agree? He says, yeah, I agree to that. So he uses concubines, you know, in his harem, and he sets up two formations, and he puts the Lord's favorite concubines as the secondary leaders. So then he basically gives them drills and commands, and he tries to teach them the drills, right? You know, basically demonstrate what they're going to be doing. So then he calls out the drills. It's like if I tell you, okay, what I want you to do is left face. I'm gonna show you how to do left face, right? Well, that's right, but you gotta remember it, you know. But yeah, left face, and then you're gonna be doing about face, you know, which is right behind you. You know. You know, and I'm going to tell you in a certain way, and then you know it all goes down to being, you know, preparatory commands and things like that. So that's what he's doing, right? So he gives the command, and the woman just laugh at him, like, and so he says, okay, maybe it's my fault. So let me explain to this a little bit more because you probably didn't get it. So he goes into it a little bit deeper, right? You know, so then he says, okay, now I'm gonna give the command again. So he's like, okay, you know, right face. We just gonna say that. And he's still laughing. So he said, okay, fine. Maybe you didn't understand because you know the leading women in front of you didn't give the commands that I gave. So how about this? I'm gonna tell them, you know what to do. So he does that, right? And they still laughing. So okay. Now, on the side of them are these guys, but these executioners with axes and stuff. So what he tells them is, okay, well, kill those two. kill the leaders. And then the Lord is like, hold on, wait. Those are my favorite girls, man. You can't be killing my favorite girls. Those are my baddies, man. He was like, nope. when the general is in command, my orders are not to be disputed. So he kills them, right? And then he sets up the formation, you know, reorganize the formation again. And then once the women saw that, oh, they hopped to. They was able to do all the drills. It's real interesting if you actually get to see it. But yeah, man. So that's that I thought that was a cool story. But yeah. But as you can see, like I said, Bronze Head fly. trying to be cute. Yeah, they weren't listening. You know how girls are. They just, they looking out, concubines, they looking all cute, hair all did up, because they got hairstyles. Hair all did up. And he just give us orders. And then you see somebody, it's like, oh, girl, we better, do what he says. I ain't gonna end up like wait, like Mei Ling. Just saying. But so yeah, but during this Warring States period, a lot of battles, and very interesting because basically after this Warring States period, who are you going to get? The first dynasty to unite China, the Qin dynasty, right? Qin Shi Huang, which we covered in movies and things like that. But it's sort of all connected. But peace, Chi. Good to see you all. I know, right? It's supposed to be sleepy. Can't call it. But yeah, so do understand. But yeah. So as you can see, Chin's on the map as well. So, but sort of this is the time when Chin is not as powerful. You know what I'm saying? They gotta work their way up and go through reforms. But yeah. Also, well, you don't see it, but the region to the south of Wu, Yue, is going to be very interesting as well because they are going to take over way later on. Like Sun Tzu's going to be dead and whatnot, but when they vie for power, and it's very interesting how they do. So, okay, so here we go. Now, basically, what in this installment, we're basically talking about fundamentals of strategy and strategy assessment, right? So in this part, it's very long. So as I said, Sun Tzu said, strategy is the great work of the organization. In situations of life and death, it is the tale of survival or extinction. Its study cannot be neglected, right? So, in other words, I also put this here just in case, some don't understand. So, military action is important to the nation. It is the ground of death and life, the path of survival and destruction. So, it's imperative to examine it. Now, when we talk about the Tao, the Tao means the way. You know what I'm talking about? But you don't have to really put it, because this thing is studied, by every country. You don't really have to just think you have to, you can study the Tao if you want to, but you can do that. To me, sometimes I think of if I wanted to study the Bible and put it into a military context or a martial context or a martial science, you can because it's there. There's many stories about it, and there it is. You can talk about Jericho and things like that. Talk about the military actions, or the military edicts that was given by Yah, what I'm saying, to slay these people and that people. And then what happens when you don't follow the orders, with Saul and them, So, okay. Now, Sun Tzu believed that even before considering a confrontation, for whatever purpose, it is essential to calculate a complete analysis of the situation, the strengths and weaknesses of one's position, the relationship between one's goals and the goals of society at large, the intensity of one's courage and determination, and the worthiness and the integrity of one's objective must all be carefully evaluated. So you always have to have, critical analysis, when assessing something, when assessing a strategy, or when assessing battle plans and battle tactics. You know what I'm talking about? And that doesn't have to be uh, in a battle. It could be in everyday life. We do it in ANU, with writing battle plans and commanding the day. Same thing. Same thing. You analyze what you want to get done, and then you follow up on that analysis. You know what I'm talking about? So, and continue because it's very long. It's long. Therefore, calculate a plan with 5 working fundamentals and examine the condition of each. The first is Tao. The second is nature. The third is situation. The fourth is leadership. And the fifth is art. Right? So, therefore, measure in terms of 5 things. Use these assessments to make comparisons, right? Um, and thus find out what the conditions are. The 5 things are the way, the weather, the terrain, the leadership, and discipline. So when you look at art, you think of discipline. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, same thing. Just depends on the translation you get. But sometimes I guess that's why I've always liked strategy and military strategy and tactics, because you have to look at the whole geographical terrain and things like that to assess what's the battle, what's the best strategy and tactics to use um, in the situation that you're in. You know what I'm talking about? So, this is a commentary from Dumu, who was a Tang Dynasty poet, but he was also a politician. You know, sometimes some people have more than one career. Like she got more than one career. He just good at everything. You know what I'm talking about. So 5 things are to be assessed: the way, the weather, the lay of the land, the leadership, and discipline. These are to be assessed at headquarters. First, assess yourself, your opponent, in terms of in terms of these 5 things, deciding who is superior. Then you can determine who is likely to prevail. Having determined this, only then should you mobilize your forces. So when assessing, basically it's talking about um, sizing up your opponent, or just sizing up what you're trying to go after, and seeing and determine who is likely to prevail. Usually want yourself to prevail, right? And you can take headquarters as your homestead, you know um but you want to what first assess yourself, and then your opponent, in terms of these 5 things, what I'm saying, and see who wins, you know okay. Now, Tao inspires people to share in the same ideals and expectations. Hence, um, because they share in life and death, um, the people do not fear danger, which I thought was well. We'll get into it in a minute, right? Okay. The way means inducing the people to have the same aim as the leadership, so that they would share death and share life without fear of danger. So, with that context, you can put that in context with many things on what people share. Uh, like with us and ANU, we share, the same ideas or being alikes, as they say. I'm talking about, you know, um, and we do that without fear of danger, because who's gonna really be who's gonna really be scared when you got Big Chief, by your side, as long as you ain't like, I'm gonna get, I'm gonna get my cousin, not one enough, but it's like, see this dude? I ain't scared. If he ain't scared, I ain't scared. But yeah, but talk about. But it's also like when like Malcolm X used to say in speech should be message to the grassroots or ballot of the bullet. How he used to always say, no, we all have a common enemy. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that you don't. You know what I'm saying? But we can unite on the basis of what we have in common. You know what I'm talking about? And that was always something that was good because you wasn't always focused on basically what you didn't have in common, but what you did have in common. And that's what united everybody. You know what I'm saying? And you can do that with a with a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? It could be through bloodline. It could be uh, common goals. It can be um, I would say struggle, but no, poverty is bad. Poverty is a play. No, but it can be many things. Things that can you can aim it and be a collective as where you can share will and woe with each other. You know what I'm saying? So this is commentary from South. And we, me personally, we've talked about South and many things. It's from Romance of the Three Kingdoms. He started the Kingdom of Wei or Wei Han, and you know, military, he was a general. He was, a politician, prime minister. I'm talking about that. He decided, oh, I'm gonna be king. You know what I'm saying? But it will be basically be his kingdom that will be during the romance of the Three Kingdoms. They'll be the major power in a sense. You know. But what he says here is this means guiding them by instruction and direction. Danger means distrust. Being a leader means guiding people through instruction and direction, but danger means distrust. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll be like, you know, don't leave no one in danger. You know what I'm talking about? Unless they 10 toes down. But but you always guide through instruction and direction. You know what I'm saying? That's sort of what being that's what being a Jagna is all about. Chief guides and he directs, and then he kicks in the door, waving the pop when he ready. He always got that. He ready to punch you in your chest. But it's always through guiding and directing. So here we must learn to trust others, other ANU members, if we are all living by the same structure of doctrine. We can put our faith in the active values that are alive in one another. This creates a web of trust. Through that netting, we are able to channel the spirit of the Creator and transfer the great current of energy among each other. Alliance through code is the basis of group economic systems. So, message, you know what I'm saying? So if we all living by the same structure of doctrine, we have to learn how to trust each other. You know what I'm saying? You know, because we're all living the same culture. So there's no, you shouldn't be distrustful of those within the culture. You should be distrustful of those out of the culture. I would. Boondocks, don't trust you. Well, if the song. I can't even sing it, but yeah, but yeah, okay.
Okay.
It's for those that
Wilson.
Wilson,
from New York. Watch this square part.
Oh,
Think I put this in there for y'all.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's bum.
Those that
Don't I
like
get side?
I'm
I
sorry.
don't get side as black.
I mean, yeah, if you want to play black, that's good. You hit bum.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're a chess man. You're an expert.
Me?
Look at you. You don't even look at the board. Look at that. It does not even look at the board. Yeah. You don't even look at the board. Look at.
Ooh, there's a lot of talking going on.
You don't even look at the board, eh?
If you don't beat him French, you can't stay. We're gonna evict you.
Oh,
It's our house.
I noticed that he went to my student and he won't come to me. And I've been over there trying to get him over there.
It's our house. If you lose,
There's a lot of trash talking in this place.
yeah, we're gonna ban him for life if he lose.
Take that.
Not in this house.
Wait a minute. Don't get funky. I know. It could get tough.
What? You after something?
No, I don't want anything. Can I take this?
Of course it's yours.
It's mine. I'll
It's
take it.
yours.
Oh, you let the queen come down.
Mine is mine.
Whoa.
He's back. What did you touch? You touch something of mine?
No, I never touch anything.
You touch something of mine?
I never touch any piece.
What if I go down here? What happens?
Let's fix in the farm.
What if I go in your house?
Whoa.
I mean,
come down.
it's all right. It's okay.
Whoa.
I don't know.
It's okay to go.
Man.
It's all right. There's nothing
all
wrong
right.
with
So Maurice, how long you been kicking puppies?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing? I
There's
don't
no-
know.
There's nothing wrong with
Could be
that.
some trouble.
He's in trouble.
Nah, there's no trouble. You're okay.
He's in trouble.
Could be some trouble.
He's in trouble.
You think he's in trouble?
I agree.
You think he's in trouble? He could be in trouble. He might be in trouble.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, I think he's in trouble.
He's in trouble. See?
Wait a minute. Let me get rid of this guy. He's not friendly. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was right there.
Oh,
Don't
I'm
try the
sorry.
trickery now.
No.
Is that how the
That's
trickery
okay.
works?
No.
That was like a magic
That's
trick.
okay.
I like the
No.
way you did that.
No, nothing
That
happened.
was like
to
a
it.
magic. You saw what
Nothing
he did?
happened.
My piece disappeared
Nothing has
from the
happened to
board. Wow, that was deep. That was some
Nothing-
serious
nothing
trickery.
has
Let me
happened
take that from you. Wait a minute.
Nothing has happened to you. Nothing
Be
has
comfortable.
happened to
Be
you.
comfortable. Be nice. That's yours. That's
Nothing
okay.
has happened to
That's
you.
okay. I'll take all of these. I think I can manage this position.
Yeah.
Wait, you want my
I
bishop?
understand.
I can't give you my bishop. I need that piece.
Remember what I said.
What'd you say?
Huh?
What'd
What
you
I
say?
said was
What'd you say?
a.
What'd you say?
What I said was a.
Was what?
Once the time is over, click. That's it.
That's it? That's it?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens next.
Once it's over,
I think I can
Mate
figure
in
this
three.
one out. Mate in 23.
Made in 3.
23.
In 3.
23.
Made in 23.
In 3.
It's good.
Let me go up here. Over here. In there.
In 3.
Down there.
In 3. That's it. That's game.
Only now?
That's game.
I thought it was over already. Wait a minute.
What's going on now?
I've heard of this rule called Ponte's Pawn en passant. I heard of that.
Oh,
rule.
yeah?
Yeah, I heard of that one.
You heard that?
I've heard of it. Ooh, that's gonna make it easy.
Yeah, and resign.
game.
Cut.
Wilson, I appreciate it. Wilson, thank you very much.
Cut. I mean, cut.
Yeah.
I mean it. I mean it. Yeah.
Come on, man. Don't
I mean
leave
it.
like that.
Thanks a lot,
Let me
Wilson.
get
I
a game.
appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
What is your name? You didn't tell me your name.
Maurice, Ashley.
Are you ready?
Grandmaster.
Hey, this is an cut. That's a minute. Cut.
Okay, man. So, hey, you know, suck up so much air, it'll make you wonder. So yeah, I can't say the rest of the song, but yeah, man, you get this work outside, you know. But you know that was strategizing, thinking way ahead, and even being observant and saying, oh, you gonna try to cheat me? Okay, I'm still gonna get you, So yeah, man. So nature is the dark or light, the cold or the heart, and the systems of time. Right? So there's sun, moon, and it gets cold and hot. It gets windy too, but cold and hot. And then you do have your systems of time, which are the seasons and things like that. So the weather means the seasons, So that's what this part is talking about. It's talking about seasons, but it's also talking about time, and the seasons of time, in the natural world. Right now, Sasa commented on this part, says the rules of ancient military state, that operations should not be carried out in winter or summer out of concern for the people. Now, usually this happened because where one, winters were harsh. Into summer, it was time to farm, and get with the harvest, because once fall came, you had to harvest your crops and whatnot. So out of concern of the people, you didn't want to take their sons or their husbands away, or their fathers away, because they will be needed during that time. And that's a little interesting about the Warring States period, because you have these long wars. You know what I'm talking about. But peace, Satha Hava. You have these long wars that take people away for so long, so long that there's an old song about it. How this guy he leaves his homeland, because he's conscripted in war, and then he goes back, and he's an old man, what I'm saying, once the war is over, and then he goes back into his own town, but no one's there that remembers him, because everybody remembers him died. It's sad. If you hear it, it sounds sad, but it is sad. The words are sad, but the tone of it sounds pretty upbeat. But it's sad, right? But it is based off of the Warring States period, since okay, yeah. But also the reason why you didn't war in winter or summer is because, well, you didn't war in winter because the soldiers would get frostbite and things like that, and you didn't war in summer because wounds get infested and then you have to deal with plague. But also you didn't want to war in winter, or because you'll be fighting up north against the Xiongnu, because during this time they're still there. You will be fighting up north with the Jianyu, which is AKA ancestors of the Huns. So you didn't want to fight up north for a frostbite, and you're gonna be fighting them Huns, and they're brutal. You know what I'm saying? You know, they put in that work. And you didn't want to fight down south because you had to worry about plague and everything, but you also have to worry about fighting who? The Namen. The Namen are still down in that southern region. And they don't look like they don't look like everybody else. You know, they're more dark, melanin rich complected. So you did want to go down, fight them because you know you fight down there and it's hot, it's very hot, humid, and you go mess around and get plagued. You know. So yeah, that's another reason why you didn't fight in winter or summer. You know. Because then you know you'll mess up your whole forces. You know what I'm saying? Also, this also brings up to mind, especially when it came to winter, Napoleon. You know, when he went to Russia, you know, thought he was going, you know, conquer Russia, and then what happens? The winter set in. You know, he gets Moscow. He gets, you know, but the winter set in. What? He gotta go all the way back to France, and then that's when the Russians, you know, pounce on him. You know, when he's, you know, taking his army out of Russia. You know, trying to get out of Russia and things like that. You know, greatly depicted in War and Peace, in a sense. Great, no, not the not the one with Audrey Hepburn. Of course, that one's good. But the Russian one, you know, the Russian one, because it was, you know, they actually had the extras to do it. So, but yes, you know, when that happened. Also, the Nazis, you know what I'm saying? When they went east and tried to conquer Russia, same thing. You know, where to set in, they had to go back. And then they fighting wars on two fronts. You know, because then the Americans coming in and then, you know, and then things like that. And then, you know, you can talk about it today because what? Because of nature and things like that in Ukraine, you know, basically fighting is going to be sort of at a standstill, but that gives what? Time for both oppositions to sort of regroup and assess what's going to be done next. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to, you know, unless you're properly equipped, because, you know, frostbite, plague is, well, at least in the past and in antiquity, was very real. It was very real. And also, you know, you can say the same thing with the Civil War, man, because I mean, if it ain't nature, it's dang on it's a Civil War hospital that's going to get you. You know. So yeah, oh, you got frostbite? I'm gonna probably have to cut off that whole foot. I'm just saying, man. You know, things like that. But yeah. Okay. Situation is the distant or immediate, the obstructed or easy, the broad or narrow, and the chance of life and death, right? So the terrain is to be assessed in terms of distance, difficulty, or ease of travel, dimension, and safety. You know, so when it comes to terrain, you know, I thought of what Achoti Yafe was talking about in Midday Affirmation. She was talking about rock and sand, right? But building on rock and building on sand, you know, that there is terrain that you need to assess, because some people build on sand thinking they're gonna be okay. Where it's better to build on rock, you know. But it also got me to thinking. I didn't say it, but also got me to thinking. See, it's the same thing with Game of Thrones and how the Targaryens built Dragonstone, and where is it? On rock. With pretty much it's on rock. There's no real resources, no natural resources, but they brought everything to what? Dragonstone. And then it made me think of the new Game of Thrones, if you know the books, which is House of the Dragon with the Valarians, and how they had Driftmark and High Tide. One city, Driftmark, which during the tide it would get flooded and basically become swamp, during the tide. So they had to, build on rock, on the highest part of the island, so that wouldn't happen. And that, that was when Corlys Velaryon had money and whatnot. But then he built up, built on rock instead of, on sand. But that castle was already there. But it would get flooded, the whole land would get flooded, But that's why you assess terrain in terms of distance. And even when you travel, man, I would say, even when you travel, you look at time and you look at difficulty and you assess maps. Like when I travel, I look at maps, I look at where I'm going, look at markers and things like that, for ease of travel, what I'm saying, and safety. No more than one way, like home, man. You know the one way, no more than one way home. You know what I'm saying? So just for safety and ease of travel, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, leadership is intelligence, credibility, humanity, courage, and discipline, So, same thing. Leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and sternness. Same, but same thing. Peace, Aki Isaiah. Okay. Now, this is from Jalin, Tang Dynasty. He used to commentate on the Art of War during the Tang Dynasty. And he wrote that reliance on intelligence alone results in rebelliousness. Exercise of humaneness alone results in weakness. Fixation on trust results in folly. Dependence on the strength of courage results in violence. Excessive sternness of command results in cruelty. When one has all five virtues together, each appropriate to its function, then one can be a military leader, right? I thought this was very interesting because some people rely too much on intelligence, and then that's where you get rebelliousness or liberal, not in the per se political sense though, but they become very rebellious and liberal. They want to do everything and anything, because they're so smart. And then you have some people just so humane, they think about everything, the trees, and but what people take their humaneness for weakness because they only focus on that trait. And then you have some people that they say on, being trustworthy, but that results in, a lot of mistakes, and then you have people that depends on, courage and the strength of courage, but then that results in a lot of fights because you want to pick a fight with everybody, saying? It's a massive number of Chinese in Chinese. Exactly that. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you say 5. You know, but yes, that 5 does play a role in philosophy, but you know what, I would also say, you know, this whole book plays a lot into philosophy. But you also have to remember, because it's good that you brought Chinese philosophy up, because this is also during the time where you have a lot of Chinese philosophers writing books during the Roaring States period, and they're alive. You know what I'm saying? They're alive and getting followers, and you know, some are getting incorporated into states. Well, government. I just say that some, you know, and adopting, you know, these philosophies into the government in which they live, you know, and creating statutes based on that said philosophy, you know, and things like that, you know, for, you know, some, the big two, Confucianism and Menish, well, I can never say his Mungla, but Menicius, right? I know for a fact it was like those two things was always big in Korea. You know what I'm saying? Those two philosophies was always big in like Korea, and in you know, old Korea, you had to know those two philosophies, especially if you planned on going further in education and statehood and well, having government jobs and whatnot, you know, and passing exams. You had to know like those two philosophies, you know, as well as the Chinese writing system, you know, because for a long time the Koreans didn't have that, you know, writing system. But yeah, you know, it's but this whole thing, if you read it, you know, if you read this book, you will see it play out in a lot of things. Like I would say, okay, I've been dreading watching The Woman King, right? I'm like, I ain't watching it. You know, I'm like, but you just watching the good ski. I ain't watching them. So instead of watching that, right, I watched this movie called Shadow, which I watched a long time ago. It's a Chinese movie. Chinese, like, well, period movie, right? And you know, I never paid attention to it, you know, the first time I watched it, but the next time I watched it, I realized how much the art of war really played into the political side of everything. And even even the martial arts form that was going on, I really paid attention. I was like, whoa, because I didn't see that, you know, when I watched it and things like that. I can tell you the whole movie, but it's about two kingdoms vying for power over one city, right? That's the gist, you know, and it gets its name because of, you know, one of the commander who ended up fighting a duel with the commander of the other kingdom ended up losing, and he had like a really bad wound, fatal blow, right? And so he uses a body double, you know, to act as him, you know, to be him, you know, and you know, take orders, and he has this big plan that he doesn't really tell nobody till the end and whatnot. It really plays out, but you see, you know, how, you know, certain, like in one part, like when he says, you know, like in this part where he says humaneness alone results in weakness, like the king of the, you know, of the of one nation, all he talks about is peace. All he talks about is peace. Like, hey, ain't nobody going. We are not going to war. You see what I wrote? I wrote this ode to peace because he has these writings, and in the great hall, of him writing about peace and odes peace. Like they ain't never going to war and whatnot. But everybody thinks he's weak because he's being so humane. Like there's a part where he's negotiating a marriage proposal for his sister, who's a princess. But the problem is, with the commander of the other kingdom, his son. But the thing is that the king of that other kingdom also offered his daughter. So what they did was, well, your sister can marry in, but she has to be the concubine, which is total disrespect. And everybody's like, no. Even the president's like, no. This is an insult. And he's like, well, if it can't be helped, we accept the terms. And everybody's mad and whatnot. And then in the end, he shows how brutal he is. It's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. And then excessive sternness commands results in cruelties. I would also say, if you ever look at dictators, their excessive sternness of command results in cruelty. There's so many we can name, with that one line. How they were very stern, and they commanded the people, but cruelties happen, what I'm saying? Or genocides happen. Pol Pot, a lot. I can name out more than that. Mao, a lot of cruelties happen. Stalin, we keep going, talk about, but cruelties, talk about, and when reliance on intelligence alone results in rebellions. You can liken that as an example to the American Revolution. And the French Revolution. A lot of thinkers, Kant, Rousseau, and all, common sense, Thomas Paine, writing all these, intellectual theses on why we should, have our own state. That's an example. Let's see. But yeah, that's just when you have too much of something. This is a result. You have to have a balance of all five. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay, let's go.
What do you see? Many of your peers are gone, yet you remain. That is as it should be. The weak must fall to give place to the strong. But do not allow yourselves to grow callous. Security is mortal's chiefest enemy. All true warriors travel the same river of blood. If one is disgraced, we are all disgraced. If one finds his death in glory, we all share in that glory. No true warrior would allow another to suffer an unjust disgrace, nor would begrudge him the fruits of a well-earned victory. Know this, and your mastery of the heart of virtue will be all but complete. Ignore it, and you will ultimately fail yourselves as you fail your comrades. That is why the final blade of the heart of virtue signifies loyalty, because we are all united by our common journey. I commend you on your performance thus far. As expected, Starfleet has rewarded our efforts with a significant military response intended to contain our forces along the neutral zone. This betrays their belief that our objective is to seize new territory along the border. To nurture this belief, the lightning strikes must continue. Make the enemy believe our forces in the immediate area far more numerous. Yet beware, with their reinforcements, we are likely to encounter more heavily defended targets. Do not be tempted to engage them. Report them to the nearest heavy strike group. Remember, you are the spearhead of a deception that will ultimately bring ruin to the Federation. Go now. Do not fail.
Okay, so I got that actually from a video game, an old video game, like before Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country came out. This game, the Klingon Academy, came out, right? I never played it, but I used to watch game movies and came across it, and I was like, ain't that General J from the Undiscovered Country? Because I thought he was the coolest one, in the Undiscovered Country. That would make me like the Klingons, because like I always say, I did not like Star Trek. But that movie, so it was the Klingons that got me, because a lot of them never mentioned since. But yeah, but he he was calculative and everything, and the guys quoted Shakespeare, and whatnot. But I always thought, the dialogue in the game and whatnot. You're at the academy, and it's basically an officer's academy, and you're learning tactics and strategy, but also philosophy and culture, Klingon culture at the same dang time, and how to rely on other Klingons to defeat the enemy. Don't go by yourself. He's like, don't be doing that. That's for glory seekers, and we ain't glory seekers. If you ever, if you watch, like the whole clips of the game, right? Like, no, we're not glory seekers. Calling assistance, so we could, so you ain't getting picked off one by one. We all going together, as you can see in the clip. It says calling for assistance. Don't, you're the spearhead, calling assistance. He always says that. But also, I like to use it because, like, I had this book called the Klingon Art of War. Like I said, I got a bunch of Art of War, but it was there's like one passage in it, right, where their Kalis is about to lead the Klingons, right, which is like the greatest leader, and they're like, what are we gonna do, Kalis, without you? And he's like, you're Klingons. You be all right. You got each other. You don't need nobody. It's like, you killed your own guys. Why are you worried about one guy? It's like, you're Klingons. But the fact is, that's what unites them, being Klingons. And, you can say the same thing about the Hebrews. They're Hebrews. Hebrews. You're y'all's chosen people. Y'all be all right. Even when y'all mess up, y'all gonna be all right. It's the same thing. Lord, we gonna go into slavery. Y'all be all right. Y'all can make it through. But the work is, from sun up to sundown. Y'all strong enough to handle it. Yeah, I'm still with y'all, in spirit. But I'm still with y'all. But yeah, man, it's the same thing in the sense. Like not John Clark, you say you don't have no friends, but if you got like 33 million people, you really don't need none. It's the same thing that unites us. Saying culture and bloodline, and things like that. So the art is a flexible system wherein the view and its officials employ the Tao, right? Oh, that's nothing I said. Plus, if you if you got in a long drawn out fight according to his plan, the enemy will realize they weren't as numerous as they wanted their enemy to believe. Gotta have faith in your team for that mission. Man, exactly. You know, you gotta have a good team. Teamwork. Face the dream work. But you gotta have faith in your team because it's all deception. You know, you're really deceiving them and you don't want to tip them off. So you really have to play. You know what's also sort of like that? Battle can I? You know what I'm saying? Battle can I? Because what? You're pushing what? Hannibal's pushing back so the Romans don't know, oh, y'all cavalry about to get wrecked. And we about to come up from behind to encircle you and kill y'all. But everybody got to play y'all part. You know, it was like the Celts got to play their part. The men in cavalry got to play their part. Hey, yo, you know, we Carthaginians got to play our part. Yo, ease back. Give way a little bit. Let them think they won. Ease back a little bit. Ease back. Ease back. Okay. Flanks, go forward a little bit. Go forward a little bit. Go forward a little bit. Oh, there go the cavalry. Close it. Same thing. Another example, shock a horn formation. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Bam. You're encircled and killed before you even realize it. It's just, you know, same thing, man. Same thing. You know, sometimes you know, you have to, you know, stay in character. You know, stay in character. So yeah. I was thinking about that Hannibal was a genius. They pulled a similar one in the saga of Tanya the Evil and the evil side of Hannibal. Yeah, man. Okay. The saga of Tanya the Evil, for those that don't know, is an anime and it's a manga. And it's a light novel. You know, I think I told Master Name. Yeah, I actually got the audiobook of I actually got the audiobook of volume 1 of the light novel. But yeah, like and like there's one time where Taya, like, you know, she's a little kid and she like plays this little girl like, come on out, and she brings them out. They come out thinking they won, and her forces completely decimate the opposing force. And they take the city. It's funny, but she's just her and her dang, you know, prayers of magic. It's just, you know, it's funny. An atheist that has to pray to summon magic. It's funny. It's like, it's real funny. It's like irony and funny. You know, I don't believe in God. Oh, you don't believe in me? Okay. In order for you to do magic, you're going to have to pray to my name just to have great magic. It's like, whoa. But it's just funny in the anime. You know. But yeah, man. Okay. Discipline means organization, chain of command, and logistics. Well, organization, chain of command, I mean, hey, that's pretty much self-explanatory in a sense, but yeah, it does mean organization. You know, one thing I don't always have to, you know, well, of course I could, you know, relate this to military, but you know, if you look at certain organizations like the Nation of Islam or more science, the UN, United Negro Improvement UNIA. Just had to make sure I had the acronyms right. They had organization and a chain of command. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to UNIA and logistics, but one thing, the nation got right. They had supply because they had farms and grocery stores and things like that, which no one talks about or has forgotten. You know what I'm talking about? Very interesting. But yeah, you can point to that. Okay. May Yao Chen is a writer, and he writes when he comments on Outer War. Organization means that the troops must be grouped in a regular manner. Chain of command means that there must be officers to keep the troops together and lead them. Logistics means overseeing supplies. Sometimes battles are won because of logistics. That was one when I was in my unit, we used to ride around the logistics sides of base, and that was like they're saying, no one can beat our logistics. Sometimes it's the logistics that wins battles and wars, man. No one knows that, but yeah. But you can apply organization and chain command to a homestead. Same family, same thing. Nationhood, same thing. There's a chain of command, there's an organization, and it all has to be regulated regulating the same manner, So
scholars have said war consists of everything. So that would include all 9 areas of activity. And counter war. If you are against a war that is going on and you want to put a stop to it, which the system of white supremacy is war, and if you're going to counter the system of white supremacy, you would call that, according to the code, counter war. So you do it in all 9 areas of activity. So war would cover all of it, just like economics, the first area of activity. War is listed as the 9th area. Economics is the first area. Mm-hmm. But all of these areas, these are just labels that mean the same thing. They're all a part of the war. Sex is a part of the war. Religion is a part of the war. Economics is a part of the war, because economics is just means what? The use of time and energy, according to the code. That's the definition of economics. How you use your time, how you use your energy. If you use it non-constructively, that's non-economical. That's anti-economics. Economics is constructive use of time and energy. So if you're doing that, trying to replace the system of racism with the system of justice, that's economics. And that is also war. Education is a part of war. You have to be educated to conduct war. Educated in what? In how to conduct a war. And that's going to take a whole lot. In a war, you have to know about logistics.
Military strategies.
Yeah, military strategy. You have to know about food to eat.
Yes.
There's an old cliche saying, an army travels on its stomach. So if you're not eating correctly, and you're not sleeping correctly, that's under economics. But it's also war. See what I mean?
Yes,
if you eat correctly, and you sleep correctly, and only as necessary, you're conducting war against the races right there. See, don't get thrown by the label. All of these labels, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, they all mean the same thing. There's just ways of people doing stuff, you might say. You're always doing something.
Okay.
Even if you're sleeping, you're doing something.
You're doing something. Okay.
And that comes under economics, that comes under war, that comes under politics. You're in politics when you're sleeping. Why? Because you are a person, and you're affecting somebody by your sleeping. Say if you're in a hotel room, you're affecting the people who have hotel rooms. Why? You're supporting their hotel, that's why. That's politics.
Okay, that's Neely full. He can say sometimes he can say it better than I can. You know what I'm talking about? And in less time, straight to the point. But in a way, in alliances, as the man receives light, instruction, and configuration from the Almighty, those blessings are then poured and fostered into the basin of the woman. It is the sacred duty of the wedded woman to reproduce that light and direction of her own man into the children of the homestead and group, along with anyone else under the governing of the master of the homestead. Women are to teach children and minor women, you know. So as you can see how discipline and organization still falls into the family and the homes. There's a hierarchy, and there's also a chain of command. It's this is more simplified, but in a sense, because you also, well, not simplified, because you have yeah, and then elder man, then woman, elder woman, children, and minor. But yeah, just had to make sure. So leaders should not be unfamiliar with these five. Those who understand them will triumph. Those who do not understand them will be defeated. So that already tells you every general has heard of these five things. Those who know them prevail. Those who do not know them do not prevail. So assessing these fundamentals, is saying that, with them, you can prevail. And if you know them, you can prevail. If you don't know them, you won't prevail. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like with the law, Deuteronomy, knowing the law, you can prevail. Ignorance of the law, you don't prevail. Same thing. Well, Leviticus, Deuteronomy and Leviticus. But yeah. So, okay. Organizational conflicts can and do occur in business, in the community and in the political arena. But only unskilled leaders work out their conflicts in courtrooms and on battlefields. Brilliant strategists rarely go to battle or to court. They generally achieve their objectives through tactical positioning well in advance of any confrontation. Man, when I read this one time, I thought that was a bar, But if you look at, some businesses and organizations, those that are better positioned don't go to court, or don't go to the battlefield because they're already positioned to win. Or if they do have to go to court or things like that, they're already in a position to set them up to win, and things like that. Or they'll try to outlast you in court and drag it out for years and years and years. It's funny. But yeah, so that was always something to look into think about, think about, who really goes to court? who's in a tactical position to win? That's another thing. You know what I'm talking about? You always have to pay attention to it. You can't win. It just comes. But yeah, but if you tactically position yourself in places, that's also why you build on rock, to tactically position yourself, well in advance of any confrontation. You sure enough can't do that on sand. On sand.
Good evening and welcome to For the People and the second part of our conversation with psychiatrist Dr. Frances Cress Welsing on white racism.
Now, in different parts of the country, when I go around and speak, I will ask, white people, do you want your children to be colored? Do you want your grandchildren to be colored? Do you want your great-grandchildren? Do you want your great-great-grandchildren to be colored? And they say no. So I say, well, if you don't want that to happen, you have to be engaging in certain specific behaviors. You see, so that issue about genetic annihilation does not occur. And this is what we experience, you see, as black people, as non-white.
And they should be engaged in what activities?
Excuse me?
They should be engaged in what?
That black people should be engaged?
No, I thought you were saying the whites.
I'm saying that the white, you see, we keep running into, wait a minute, there's a wall. Let's say it might be a black man trying to matriculate in a job situation, and he finds I can only go this far. And then I run into this invisible wall. And people might say, oh, no, we're not discriminating. But the black person knows that wall is there. They keep hitting the wall, do you see? Or they're eliminated, or it's just like looking, how we're looking at the Supreme Court decisions that have recently come about. Do you see? Oh, wow, they're now going back to the old way of doing things. The door opened a little bit, and now the door has to slam back. Do you see? And we feel that pressure. And this is what we say, well, racism is going on. Do you see? But the white response would say, oh, nothing is happening.
Now, if more African Americans and Africans around the world were to begin to look at white supremacy in the manner that you have outlined, what would it mean in terms of how we respond to white supremacy as opposed to, quote, that traditional?
Well, that's why we have this chessboard here.
All right.
Because I say that the behavioral dynamic of white supremacy is analogous to a chess game. We haven't looked at it in that way before. See, we've looked at it, everybody hold hands, ring around the rosy, we're all in this together, and found that, wait a minute, that's not what's happening. That if we understand the game of chess, where you have a white side of the chessboard and you have a black side of the chessboard, when people sit down to play chess, because I'm not talking about hating white people, I am talking about analyzing the behavior, but I'm not talking about hating them. I'm not talking about destroying white people. But I am talking about understanding this so-called game of chess. Now, if we look further at the chess game, that in the game of chess for the last 100 years, the game has been played where white always moves first. So that the white side of the chessboard is playing offense, defense. The black side of the chessboard has to play defense, offense. So I say that that's a perfect analogy to white supremacy. White supremacy has to move against non-white people for the purpose of white genetic survival, do you see? And also the game of chess is about checkmating the king. Do you see? With white moving offensively and then defensively, that means that the real issue in the game of chess is about the white king checkmating the black king. And I say that that is perfectly analogous to racism, white supremacy, because the primary thrust of the attack of racism, white supremacy, it's against all black people or all non-white people, but it is most specifically against the black male, because it is the black male who can cause white genetic annihilation. Do you see? And so the game of chess is about the white king checkmating the black king. Mm-hmm. And so I say that if we begin to say, oh, it's like the game of chess. You see, and black people say, oh, we didn't understand that. Mm-hmm. Oh, now we can play, because it's just a matter of tactics and strategy. And I go further, you know, to look at the chessboard as though each of these columns, each of the vertical columns on the chessboard, we really need 9. Mm-hmm. And if we looked at it, one column represents economics, another economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And so you have to play on those 9 fronts simultaneously, which is just like playing chess. You don't play on just one column. You have to play and look at all of the columns at the same time. Uh-huh. Do you see? And so if we now begin to say, oh, we understand the dilemma of the white minority on the planet, that they are actually operating in fear of white genetic annihilation, you see, and the intention then being to survive, white genetic survival by any necessary means. And I mean any necessary means. Any necessary means. Then black people can begin to say, oh, okay. That means that we have to have tactics and strategies for, you see, black survival and maximal development. In the presence of this continuous onslaught, we will give up completely, you see, begging and pleading, that all of that energy, like 90% of our energy as black people in this area of the world, is being spent begging and pleading. You see, but that would be analogous to the person who is playing the black side of the chessboard, begging the white side to let them win. Uh-huh. Do you see? So if you're playing the black side of the chessboard and you start asking the white side to let you make some points, they ought to take you to the nearest mental hospital. That's not the way the game is played. Uh-huh. You see, the same thing with basketball, the same thing with football.
And is that why we're back now to the Supreme Court going back and undoing?
Right. Well, that, you see, I say that it's that cycle. In other words, white supremacy, you can look at it as Mr. Neely Fuller does, as, you know, having 4 phases: establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement. And so after you go into refinement, you have to go back to establishment.
So what do you think of the goal of equality?
Well, I think that the issue about equality, the dynamic of racism as I have analyzed it, and white supremacy, is coming about because people feel unequal. Do you see? People feel, well, somebody else has a dominant genetic trait that can cause my genetic annihilation. And so that's the game that's on the table. And so equality, do you see, you cannot establish equality when you have that dynamic going on of somebody feeling, I have to have everything, or I have to be in charge, either because I'll be genetically annihilated or because I feel genetically inadequate. I have to try to balance that out by having all of the money, all of the jobs, all of the houses, all of the things that are decent. Do you see? And I can only feel balanced out if I'm looking at the people who I really look at as genetically dominant to me, if I can reduce them to a state of inferiority, and then I can say, see, I'm superior. Now that's the dilemma. And I have said, when I wrote the paper, The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation, I said the challenge to white behavioral, it's a challenge, or the challenge to white behavioral scientists, to help the white population locally and globally become comfortable with its color and its minority status in the world.
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, by talking about it. Do you see? But this is a topic that you cannot talk about. I mean, you know, you should take an A and 1,000 gold stars for having, you know, airing this kind of discussion. This is a discussion that you cannot bring out. Do you see? If you are a black person trying to talk about racism, you can lose a job. Oh, she's always talking about racism. Do you see? No, we don't want to talk about racism. We certainly don't want to analyze it, because if we analyze it, then, do you see, one can get rid of white supremacy.
Okay, so that is Dr. Francis Quest Welsing, you know, speaking about dang on chess from a psychological standpoint. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I really liked how she would break it down, you know, especially when it came to like the board itself. You know, looking at it from an economic standpoint, things like that's sometimes what you have to assess. You know, because some warfare is psychological. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the withholding the resources, psychological, having non-cleaning water, you know, which some states have experienced, you know, it's psychological, you know, and things like that. Man, you know, when you go through national disasters, you know, weather disasters, you know, that can be psychological, you know, and psychological warfare as well, you know. So it's something to pay attention to. But the way she put it as you know, white always goes first. Why does white always goes first? Can we roll for it? Which is like something, you know, as still why white always gotta go first. You know what I'm saying? I already tells you that you know, like, you're in a position to lose. You know, because they always got to go first. So you're already on the defensive. So you're already, you know, about somebody going first, you know, or them always going first. You're already what? One step behind. You know what I'm talking about? So, like I say, very interesting topic, man. You know, and you know, but that's the objective, you know, to checkmate the Black King. You know what I'm saying? And what? With psychological warfare and economic warfare, you know what I'm saying, and covert warfare, that was the aim. Look, COINTELPRO. That main objective was what? You know, there must not, you know, to not kill, you know, and I have no black messiah. You know what I'm saying? To you know, basically thwart that, you know, act of having a black messiah. You know what I'm talking about? So, you know what I'm talking about? That is the same thing as checkmating the Black King. You know, you can't get no deeper than that, but it's all around you, and you probably never pay attention to it. You know what I'm saying? That's why you do all these things. You know what I'm talking about? And you probably assess these things so you can open your eyes and you can see what goes on around you. You know, like Chief is always showing things that, you know, you probably did open your eyes to see, and then you be like, whoa, I didn't see that. You're like, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to, you know, open your eyes a little bit more, not to be woke in a sense, but be able to see farther along the path, farther to see and think 3 steps ahead or 5 steps ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like they do in chess. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. So join us next strong, right? And we will be doing part 2. You know what I'm talking about? And also remember that we have our new fellowship tomorrow. You know, we have midday affirmation. You know, also I did it at the start, but I planned on doing it at the end. Yeah, even in Monopoly, we gonna roll for it, babe. You know what I'm talking about? But you know, let's roll for it. You know, let's see who roll for it. But you know, our new summer retreat, you know, it's gonna be down in that Big Easy bed, but you know what I'm talking about? You know, we gonna be going down in that NOLA, you know what I'm talking about? In that bayou, you know what I'm talking about? That's how we get it down there in that boot, you know. You well, you know. You know, I know about it, you know. you know, I know about it. So yeah, we going down to that Big Easy, you know what I'm talking about, that Crescent City, you know, where we live Le Bon Temps Roulette, you know what I'm talking about. Also, give thanks, Chief. Also, speaking of Chief, you know, Chief on all digital media platforms. Chief y'all music. Let me tell you, we got Mandigo, you know. The guy keeps on coming out with an EP every strong. Every strong. He be about that work. He be about that action, boss. You know what I'm talking about? He keep on coming with it. You know what I'm saying? He team no sleep. You know what I'm talking about? But he be getting it, you know what I'm saying? He be getting it with the music, you know. And me, you know, I really like when the guy plays bass. He gets down on the bass, man. You know, so when I hear a song from Chief, either it's the melody, you know, the instrumental melody that I'm vibing to, or it's the bass that I'm vibing to. Because I probably secretly want to play bass. So I'm like, yeah. You know, but yeah, man. So check out Chief y'all music, you know what I'm talking about. And look, you know, ANU retreat, register, open to the public, you know what I'm saying? See, his team don't sleep, you know what I'm talking about. Especially when they deal with us. We make it harder. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, you know, he no sleep. You know what I'm talking about? But that's why he be Chief. You know what I'm talking about? You know, he gets it in, and that's why he makes the big bucks. You know, because basically I based this out because Chief was always talking about, you know, the generals talk. You know what I'm talking about? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I ain't a general, but can I work my way up? You know, can I at least be in the officers, you know, the officers club, you know. I would take my little silver bar, my gold bar, you know, my train tracks, you know, for those that know military ranking. But, you know, that's what my daddy used to call it. You know, you get your gold bar, you get you know, your silver bar, your gold bar, then you get your train tracks. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was like, can I work my way up? I just want to be, you know, let me be in the officers club, you know what I'm saying? First. Then when you think I'm ready, then, you know, I want to be a general, you know, whether it's 1 star, 2 star, you know. But let me get my I don't have no problem working my way up. You know, I'll wash the lettuce. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man, but he will always, refer to that. And so, yeah, but for me, like I said, I always wanted to like create like a teaching manual when it came to melanin rich um, warriorship or captaincy, because in some books, generals are called captains, but my especially in the book that I have by Hannah, the author always referred to him as, this great captain, what I'm saying, even though he was a general. But I always thought that that was something that, melanin rich people lacked, that officers training, what I'm saying, whether it be in martial science or just in leadership, bar none, what I'm saying. I always thought, what would that look like, and who will we use, what I'm saying, what melanin rich leaders would we use, and what would we take, what I'm saying, what would we take from other people to learn from to get that warrior leadership, or that warrior scholarly leadership that is lacking in community, what I'm talking about. So that's why I came up with this, and that's why I incorporate many different aspects, so you can get something like that. But yeah, what I'm talking about. Give thanks, everybody, and I'll see y'all next time when we be back for part 2. But like I said, it's ANU ANU Nation. We can't stop, won't stop, because he won't let us. Because him downstairs, what I'm saying. But because if he don't stop, we can't stop. So we got to keep on going. Because the general over there, what I'm saying, will follow the old man wherever he wants to go. White Christmas, for those that don't know. Because we love him. But give thanks, everybody, and I will see y'all next round. Okay, peace.